Hey everybody, back again with a mini message for you, and we're picking up in verses 1 and 2 again of Genesis chapter 22. So like I said yesterday, we're going to take our time going through this and really kind of go slow through this story. There's so much happening here. There's so much symbolism, so much nuance in this. So I really want to dig in on it. Now, I want to read verses 1 and 2 for you again. It says, sometime later, God tested Abraham's faith. Abraham, God called. Yes, he replied, here I am. Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will show you. Okay, so as we skip through a little bit of this and not cover all the same ground as yesterday, one of the things that he did here was he told him to offer him as a burnt offering. And this has to be very confusing for Abraham because God promised him, here's this son, this is Isaac, this is who the line will go through. This is who the promise is going to go through. The Messiah is coming through here. This great nation I've talked about will come through here. This land you possess will come through this child. And now God's telling him to go and sacrifice him? See, this is the difference between trusting in the promise and trusting in the promiser. Okay, and there's a difference there. Sometimes we can take some of God's promises and we can try to even make them come true for ourselves. Instead of trusting God that no matter what winding road He takes us down, what exit we get off on, however it may occur, that at the end of the day the promise is still going to happen because it's not the promise we trust, it's the one who made it. The promise itself is just words, right? It's the person that makes the promise is the one that we trust to make it come true. So Abraham had to be looking at this and saying, hey, what's happening here? But at the end of the day, he said, no, I trust the one that gave me the promise. I don't trust the promise. And so in Abraham's mind, he doesn't necessarily understand how God's going to work this out. He just trusts that God is going to work it out. And that's a big step of faith, right? I think when we get to that kind of place, we've really started to grow in our faith. We've really started to figure some things out about our relationship with God, our fellowship with Him. When we go from having to worry about how something will happen and just trust that God's in control and things will work. See the big difference there? Instead of trying to figure out how God's going to make it work, we just say, God, you will make it work. That's a big separation. Abraham had gotten to that place, and he wasn't at that place 25 years previously. He wasn't at that place, at this point probably closer to 37, 38 years since he had gotten the promise from God and been told he would have this child. He's changed. God's moved him through this. That's why I said yesterday that what we see here isn't a test that produces faith, it's a test that reveals it. It's going to reveal what is underlying in Abraham, the faith that was already there, that he had seen God work over the course of this time, and he was ready for that. So he trusted the promiser, not the promise. He didn't trust the words God said, he trusted the God behind those words. That's a great word for us. And you guys have a blessed day. We'll see you again real soon.